Ready to start? Yes. If we sing, they will follow. Shabbat. You did. Oh, thank you. You're going to sing with us?
So can I bring up all three of them, our salon women? It's,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
Bonnie and Rosalie?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great.
Ya la
Page 10, you know the words. The new melody written by cantor Natalie Young, who was my classmate over 20 years ago. We started our studies together in Israel.
Love, joy, and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together. Kulanu biyachad, hine matov, umanayim.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is good to be here together, to come into this warm place, our sanctuary. Welcome back, cantoral soloist Lisa Marcus Jones, who's been with us before. Please join us as always. Lisa brings guitar, piano, voice, and just another shout out again to Cantor Emerita Louise Treitman, who's introduced me to many local musical leaders. And this evening we make our way in. A theme throughout our service is going to be malachim, angels or messengers. You'll see why that is. And in Judaism, these malachim, these messengers, symbolize healing and comfort and peace. And on Shabbat, we're taught that they especially join us. So especially now, again, holding our brothers and sisters in Israel in our prayers, all who are suffering. We hope that these messengers of peace will be extra present with us in our prayers. I want to offer this reading for peace that will lead us into Yedid Nefesh. So we're just going to stay on page 10 a little bit longer as we leave our week behind and enter Shabbat. We gather together in faith and with hope to pray for peace and for the safety of the people of Israel. Help us, O Holy One, and protect us in our hour of need. Touch our hearts, lest they harden with despair. Guide our thoughts, lest they overcome with fear. Bring healing to the wounded, strength to those in mourning, courage to those in fear, wisdom to those who lead. Yedid Nefesh, beloved one, reveal yourself and fill the world with your light. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Be quick, God of love, for the time has come. Have mercy on us, eternal one of peace.
Amen. Yedid nefesh Avraham, Yedid nefesh Avraham, Eshloch avdecha, Eretz zonecha, Eshloch avdecha,
To turn back now to pages 2 and 3 as we bring in the light of Shabbat. It is an honor to invite our salon trio, Lucinda Davis, Rosalie Weiss, and Bonnie Wellens. I think the connection is acting or just friendship?
It was, but now it's just friendship.
Friendship. Okay, wonderful. Come on up. Yeah, that would be great. I'll hold the mic. Yeah, go ahead.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu mitzvotav v'tivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Sing to you.
Sing it too.
Yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat.
And we'll now welcome in those Shabbat messengers of peace, Malachei Hasharet, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh
going to keep looking out for those malachim, those messengers or angels, when we get to our Torah portion a little later. For now, let's turn back to page 20 as we welcome in the bride of Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. And it is traditional at Lecha Dodi to actually welcome mourners into the sanctuary, and it's kind of the moment for mourners when mourning pauses to enter Shabbat. And as I've been commenting in the last few weeks with the sadness and terror and heaviness all around us, Lecha Dodi gives us that pause to enter into Shabbat. We'll join in verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
And this is a setting of Lecha Dodi that comes from the Ukraine. It's very catchy. If you have not heard it, I'm sure that you'll be able to join in pretty quickly.
Standing and turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal Kaddish Merabah
Amen.
Be'alma divrachirutei Yamlich malchutei Bechayechon uvyomechon Uvrayed kol Beit Yisrael Magala Bagala Uvi בזמן קריב, יאמרו אמן. יהי שמך במבורך, לעולם לעולמיה, יתברך, יתברך, ישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתעלה, שמי דקדושה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו amen.
We'll be called into prayer, page 28, beginning with words in English that remind us to be awake and present. Let's read together our blessing for creation, page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. And we sing of God's love for the people of Israel, Ahavat Olam, page 32.
Ahavat Olam, יום ולילה אהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם יבון מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We'll continue with these words from Torah, page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לפניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Let's turn to pages 40 and 41 and first read together in the English before our Song of the Sea. Sing a song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished,
A gift for our children
and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל Israel. And we'll continue on page 42, our prayer that asks God's Sukkot Shalom, God's shelter of peace, to be spread over us all the way to Jerusalem.
And this is perhaps a moment to shut your eyes and just let this beautiful melody wash over you, to bring a feeling of peace into your body with each breath. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom B'hamidenu Shomrenu Shomrenu L'chaim Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha V'taknenu b'etzah tova milpanecha Ne'oshienu leman shemecha.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei Sukkot Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. And let's read together on the bottom of page 44. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. We rise, if you're able, for our tefillah. Page 46, we'll begin together in the Hebrew and pause for some moments of silent prayer.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot,
ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב והושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We'll continue with the prayers on the pages or the prayers from our hearts, and feel free to be seated when you are ready. Page 61.
לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יסגו אל כוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יסגו אל כוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יסגוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יסגוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, מלחמה, לא יישא גוי אל גויכם, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה.
We're going to transition from those powerful words of peace from the prophets to our prayer for healing on page 253. Before we turn to our loved ones who are ill, as we have been doing these past few weeks, I'm going to add a Misha Berach for the redemption of those who were captured from Israel. Our God, the one who raises Joseph up from the pit, be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in time of trouble. Send rescue and redemption to all those held in captivity. Strengthen their spirit and bring them our prayers that they be protected from harm. Implant understanding in the heart of the enemy that they may return the captives in wholeness of body and spirit. Grant wisdom to the Israel Defense Forces that they may secure freedom for the captives without loss of life. Grant strength of spirit and courage of heart to the sons and daughters of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar to release bonds of captivity and to allow us all to live in freedom. As it says in the Psalms, they shall call upon me and I will answer them. I will be with them in distress. I will rescue them and honor them. Amen.
Amen.
And we are especially praying for these loved ones who are ill at this time. Colin Monroe, Inbar Bataviva, Maddie Bot Linda Walter, Guy Ben Rita, David Ben Marcel, Enrico Mascaro, Annette Zerachian, Benjamin Horowitz, Bradley Dichter, Mateo Goldman, Esya Rushovskaya, Eileen Arnone, Jean Sands, Tom Fiorino, Jerry Spingarn, Beth Gottlieb, Joseph Sands, Ethel Sharanow, Rhea Rebecca, Ida Kublin, Peter Lawrence, Sarah Bat David Yosefia, Herb Kupferschmidt, Linda Asher, Alan Aflito, Rosalind Slifka, Yonatan, son of Anna, Peggy Monroe, Vered Bat Aviva, Leonardo, son of Simone, Tamar Aharon, Leah Tova, daughter of Zipporah, Patience, daughter of Julia, Phil Shapiro, Shayna Mannheimer, Sandy Grassfield, Richie Berg, Dorothy Lewis, Linda Wilson. If there are others that you would like to name either out loud or in your hearts. We're going to try something a little different tonight, but my weekly Talmud class gave me their blessing to do this. So for these last few weeks, and of course the beginning of the book of Genesis always provides such rich material for study and thought. Usually it's a rabbi's dream to begin the Torah all over again, before things get a little sticky in Leviticus, just filled with wonderful themes of creation and renewal. And of course, rabbis everywhere, myself included, these last few weeks, we've turned inward to the Torah to reflect on really difficult messages, attempts to find humanity and dignity, and reflections on the incredible floods of destruction and death, including last week's Torah portion, which reminded us of Abraham's journey, just beginning the long journey of our people's relationship to the land of Israel, and God not really specifying a direction or a compass in which we can form that relationship. So, which brings us today, to which I decided, instead of me offering words of Torah, I'm going to look to all of you to fill in some of your own words of Torah, words of where you are at since October 7th, and a few parameters, of course. Number one, the angels are going to have the last word. So we are going to end with a word of Torah. And I would just say, leave intense political commentary for another time, and maybe leave more sensitive counseling to meeting with me individually or your therapist. So kind of those extremes. Everything else within this space, we have been having conversations here at Beth David about the attacks in Israel, about the aftermath, about our feelings as Jews here. Those conversations have mainly been happening on Sunday mornings. We've had 2 very full Sunday mornings with really all the generations of our community, but especially parents of school-age kids whose kids were here in religious school. So, as I said, in discussion with our Talmud class, we thought within the, within the context of Shabbat as our time to come together, as our time to be in community, it might be nice to hear from each other. So I'm going to frame this as follows. I want to just start with the opening of an article that Dara Horn wrote for the New York Times. Perhaps you saw it. Dara Horn, author that we've talked about here at Beth David. She wrote many, many books, including The World to Come, including a book that Mark Beal and I led a discussion about last year. What's that, Mark? Yes. Tell us the name of the book. People Love Dead Jews. So yes, this was her most recent book. So she wrote an article called Why Jews Can't Stop Shaking Right Now. And I'm just going to share her opening sentence and then start by asking all of you a question. So she wrote, "There is a reason so many Jews cannot stop shaking right now. The concept of intergenerational trauma doesn't begin to describe the dark place into which this month's attack plunged Jewish communities around the world." That is her start. So I don't know about the rest of you, but I have found that it has often been hard to find words when people, maybe ask you, how are you? It's really hard to answer that in words. Again, almost as if when you're in a personal stance of mourning, you're not supposed to ask that question. So before we get to words, here's how we're going to frame this. Before we get to words, when you go to the hospital or the doctor, there's a pain scale of 1 to 10. So we're just going to take a little temperature of the room here, and you don't have to answer, but if you want to answer, you can put your hand up. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in these last few weeks, where would you place yourself now? 1 being, let's say, the most relaxed and calm and in a good frame of mind, maybe even joyful, to 10 being a high level of stress, anxiety, sadness, anger, kind of those negative emotions. So anyone want to start by just a number? So no words yet, just the number. Mark. 7 7, 8. David, 7. Okay. I'm just repeating for the live stream, folks. 8, 9. 8. 11, 12. Wait, just a number? Oh, you've got 2 different numbers? Okay, go ahead. Okay.
For the last 2 weeks, I've been at
9.
9.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, I'm at 3.
9 and now 3. Okay. So again, we're going to talk about this, but I just to get it out there before we can even find words. Anyone else want to share a number? I would put myself at a 9. So we can now add some words, and I would just say, again, a prompting question, which is, how have you been experienced? So you yourself, how have you been experiencing these few weeks, and how do you feel that it is impacting your life, specifically as a Jew, or in general? And again, just for the sake of time, we're going to try to share the space here. I'm repeating a little bit, and again, obviously those at home, hope you're listening, but we can't hear you, so can't stop. We could do that, yeah. All right, thanks, Lisa.
You just raise a hand.
Okay, so can't stop reading articles. Would you also say kind of glued to the news and?
Glued to the news, can't stop reading articles.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And, all right, good. We're passing the microphone.
It's very hard to go about daily activities of everyday life.
My mind keeps going back to the college campuses and just becoming more and more and more infuriated.
Anyone here have? Yes, some of you have kids on college campuses.
In the summertime, I work in a world of non-Jews, so I feel strange and wonder what feelings I should be expressing, or what they're feeling and what they're expressing. So many of them will say, "I'm so sorry," as if I'm suffered something personally and all of that. So I find that it's been very strange that way.
One theme I've heard a lot in these few weeks is the feeling of having to educate non-Jewish friends.
I'm angry, and I wish I could help out there in some way.
Mm. Yeah, so I think especially for Jews in America, a feeling of helplessness, of what can we do.
My Christian friends and Palestinian friend have reached out to me, so that has helped. And also, I think my education by watching the news is realizing that Hamas has brought all of this on, even the tragedy in Palestine. And
so I would encourage us all to say, this is my opinion. So that's your opinion, okay?
Yes.
Right.
Sadness on what's going on the college campus is not totally surprised, because we've kind of seen this trend over the last 10 or 20 years, the college campuses. The other thing is, when I watch the news, yes, anger, I find that I really can't no longer watch the descriptions of what happened that day. At first, now all the details that are coming out, we kind of looked at that, and more as they talk to people that were there that day, I can't watch it. I don't want to see it anymore. It's too upsetting. And lastly, I'm probably going to re-grab the book, Alan Dershowitz's book, The Case for Israel, and read it again. I read it before.
So it's interesting. This has sparked, in addition to our need to educate others, a need to educate ourselves.
Yeah, I watch the news, and I'm afraid Israel's losing the propaganda war. And as soon as Hamas attacked, I knew the more anti-Semitism would come out, because as long as Israel was secure before the Hamas attack, there was definitely much less anti-Semitism being displayed throughout the country.
I think a lot of this has made me question my participation in like a contemporary machine of social media use, and just like how I engage with technology in the modern world, I think foundationally has to change. And the double-edged sword of that for me is that when the voices of reason are quieted in public spheres, the people left are those who want to hide behind a keyboard and shout and spew a lot of hatred. And so I find myself daily struggling with the degree to which I am comfortable just being a public figure for my work and engaging at all with the algorithms and technologies that are contributing to this propaganda war. And it's very alarming to me to think about how ingrained it has become to just be public in a way that makes us very susceptible to these, false ideas. And when the false ideas are even getting to an institution like the New York Times, you really have to question, or I have been questioning, how I both participate in and contribute to the narratives that are spinning through like the ether right now.
And so this seems to be a common theme of where we get our sources of information, what media sources, when do we know our limits of disengaging, and certainly the addition of social media when, again, this is Dara Horn's point of the intergenerational trauma for Jews. When we talk about propaganda in our history, it is a whole new world right now, right, with social media. And you've probably all heard the warnings of staying off. And this is, more for the younger generation of things like Instagram, TikTok, and some of those more contemporary social media streams. And I do want to also, if you want to comment at all, parents here who have kids on college campuses, since that brought up, yeah.
Before I get to my daughter, who is in law school at USC and went through an anti-Semitic incident, I didn't realize when I woke up the morning of the 7th, opened my phone, saw that this had happened. I didn't realize how quickly it would turn from something obviously visceral because of how we all feel about Israel, but how quickly people I knew or knew got involved that day. My son let me know that one of his friends from college, his grandmother was taken hostage. She is one of the 200 still remaining hostage, a woman in her 80s with health issues. Then a week and a half ago, his roommate had a childhood friend whose family made Aliyah several years ago, and he was in the IDF and was killed in battle. I wake up every morning looking to Facebook because my sister-in-law's brother lives in Israel, looking for his daily post saying, "I am safe for now," and letting us know if yesterday was a day that included a bomb shelter in his apartment building where everyone has to do that. And then on top of all that, my daughter, who is in her first year at USC Law School, saw an email that came out from one of the many groups she joined to try to just start, when she first got there, to try to just begin building a network. The email come out saying, not surprisingly, if anyone who has followed anti-Semitism on campuses, saying that this group stands with Palestine. They understand it is we believe, speaking for everyone who had been a member of that group, that, these atrocities are entirely the fault of the apartheid state that Israel has created, etc. So my daughter sent that to the dean of the law school, not asking her to denounce them because they have the right to an opinion, but to make it clear, to send something making it clear that although opinions are going to be strong, and this is a very heated issue, the group, any group, might not even speak for all of its own members. It doesn't speak for the law school as a whole, and it doesn't speak for the university. What she got back was an email saying for her to even comment on it might be viewed as infringing upon that group's free speech rights, and that Susanna might want to avail herself of counseling opportunities. So, obviously a very dismissive but not surprising. All three of my kids as undergrads saw, and I'm sure many of you who have kids that are or have been in college recently have seen. Sadly, my kids have all experienced anti-Semitism on campuses, and this is what it is. The only thing that gladdens me is finally seeing a few groups stand up and say, like with law schools, we will pull offers from people who say things that we consider to be inflammatory. Anyway,
Jeremy, do you want to add anything? And actually, seeing you here reminds me. So I did send a kind of a lengthy message to Beth David college students this week, and because I had all these emails coming from, I forgot to add your kids, so I'm going to forward it to them.
Would you kindly copy me on that as well?
Sure.
It'd be interesting what you say. I work with older Catholics and evangelicals at an Italian construction company. The evangelicals are from the South, and they are all so gung-ho for Israel. It's remarkable, and they do not see any gray whatsoever. We all see some amount of gray because suffering of children, whoever the children are, is a terrible, terrible thing. I bemoan the extent of the ignorance that fuels the anti-Semitism that we see, whether it's in the population overall or on campuses. I am constantly, I'm reminded by people I work with who are very much dead set against anything they consider to be diversity, equity, and inclusion, that in that same mindset comes a very focused, ignorant belief in a narrative about the Middle East, which misses an enormous amount of fact and ignores the truth. And my kids, I think like all other college kids, are surrounded by this. They've been educated in that system, and I don't want to blame it on the quote-unquote the left, because I'm firmly in the left, but there is so much ignorance which fuels opinions which is very difficult to encounter. I mean, comparing this time period to the general news climate in which we live, I didn't raise my hand to say I was at a 3 or a 5 or a 10, because day after day after day for the last 10 years, if you really pay attention, sometimes it's off the charts. But it's certainly difficult. And my kids being away, it's difficult to really communicate with them and to make sure that they have the background and factual information that they need to have the right opinions. Sometimes my son, who is a college senior, says, "Dad, you were brainwashed as a kid into believing X, Y, and Z about the Israeli story." But that's a debate that we have to have ourselves.
I do want to just invite Avi, if you want to say anything, and just noting, of course, Avi being Israeli is especially personally connected with this?
I can't share how I feel because it's, as I said, beyond the charts, and every day is a different story. I'll just share with you two elements that caused me tremendous sadness, depression, I don't know, beyond the description. I watch Israeli TV from time to time, and I saw the program Zeuze. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's like a satire that ran for 6 years. Now they kind of brought the actors out from the attic, and they're performing now. And the part that really made me very sad and cried a lot was they were interviewing kids that were just in the Otef Aza and now in hotels. And to see the kids, how they talk about it, knowing that this trauma is just going to stay with them for the rest of their life. And I was hoping that maybe after 50 years for me from the Yom Kippur War, it maybe is going to be gone sometime. No, it's a whole generation now is going to go through the same kind of trauma that will keep waking up through their lives. The second part is that cause me sadness, I don't know even how to explain it, is looking back from a perspective of a 70 years old to all those kids 20 years old and 18 years old that are Am Yisrael Chai, they are so energized to go into war which could destroy so many of them. And I felt the same way when I was 20. Okay, so it's just, it's very sad.
And I think, Avi, you raise an important question, and we were talking about this in our Talmud class a little bit, about how Israelis in Israel are walking out of apartments and, fearing physically for their lives, and how we're experiencing it here. And I think, when it comes to Israel, American Jews sometimes feel, not very confident, or maybe we don't know as much. But I think on the one hand, any of us who have been to Israel or have any connection with Israel, seeing it and hearing the stories and having Israel be at the forefront of the news, this is personal for us. So we can't turn away from it. And then the added layer of our Jewish identity here, that I think everyone I've spoken with, we're kind of questioning our own identity as well, how we express it, how we feel about it. Again, a feeling of maybe fear, which, at least, I don't want to, again, some of it's generational, but I have never felt that in my lifetime here in America, a fear of being Jewish. And I think, again, generationally, so many of us hoped in our lifetime for a two-state solution, which again, it seems to have been lost, that the Arab world and Palestinians were offered 3 times a two-state solution, which they said no to. Right, and that sense of hope, which seems, no longer there. And I will tell you, just this week, I was talking yet again to the lieutenant in the Westwood Police Department, and I've now met, a good number of the Westwood Police. And, I'm sitting there talking to him about, again, where we're going to put the car. And I just said to him, I said, I can't even believe I'm having this conversation. And again, they've been so supportive and so understanding, but just hearing myself having the conversation is shocking. So for Jews in America, we have, so there's now this sense of fear and unknown, and there's always been a sense, I think, in America that, again, we can kind of pass if we want to, and maybe our neighbors don't even know we're Jewish. A little harder when you're the rabbi, but our kind of thinking about ourselves, and how we get to a place of continued pride and continued desire to share who we are, and to not hide behind that. So I think that, all of these questions have been raised in terms of our own identity, our own connections. And lastly, I'll just say, the more this goes on, and again, Israel's so far away, but the more I hear of Beth David members who have family members who have died, who've been taken hostage, who have friends or cousins who are entering the army. And, again, as Avi said, these are, 18 and 20-year-olds. But the more the circles are so close, which I think is why those numbers, my original question, are so high. We're going to wrap up in a moment, but I do just want to give, if anyone who has not spoken yet, if you would like to. No, Jimmy, you already spoke. Well, just first, we just got to give fair airspace here. Just first, anyone who has not spoken yet who would like to offer a brief thought or comment. Bob? And clearly we can continue, in the ONEG too.
There's a lot that's that we speak to that's very negative. Unfortunately, so ignorance is just so rampant that it's remarkable that it is so rampant. And I would never have believed 10 years ago that it could be this way, but it is. But there's one little story that I thought might be interesting and a little bit uplifting, perhaps. And that is one of our sons went to American University. This is back 20 years ago, so it's dated a bit. But as part of his junior year Broad program, he spent a year in Israel. And while in Israel, he spent a lot of time in the West Bank. And while in the West Bank, he got to know people whom he truly is actually friendly with, still to this day. And he learned a lot about the education system in the West Bank, one piece of which was learning math. If you have 5 Jews and you kill 2 of them, how many Jews are left? When he came back from Israel, he wrote a paper because he was in international studies, and he wrote a paper about what he experienced in the West Bank. And his professor marked him down and said, "I don't believe anything that you're putting into this paper." And he gave him a lousy grade. It was not long thereafter, like 3 or 4 months thereafter, there was a program, and don't ask me, I don't know what this program specifically was, but it was a program on television about exactly what our son was speaking about. How hatred is instilled in the Palestinian population, if you consider the West Bank, Gaza, and those areas. And apparently the professor saw that show. And he wrote a letter to our son, Micah, and said, I didn't believe a word you said. I do now, and I went to the university and changed your grade.
And I think we will continue to also hear individual stories, as I have been sharing in recent weeks too, of people on all sides who are determined to keep working together. And it's going to take a lot of time. All right, Jimmy, do you really want to say something else? Go ahead.
What can flip the switch as far as opinions? And then of course it was CNN, I heard that Anthony Blinken today in Israel was shown every graphic picture of October 7th. And my mind went back to 1945 when the camps were liberated and Eisenhower and Patton took townspeople, soldiers, to the camps to show them that this was not made up, that it was real. And I'm saying to myself, maybe a little not protecting everybody from seeing horrendous things, but it might actually do some good. And that was, there's a precedent to it because obviously, everybody's seen newsreels of Eisenhower bringing people to Auschwitz. So that was what I was thinking.
So, and again, just that actually brings us back to Dara Horn, who started off, if you haven't read her article, I suggest you read the whole thing, but started off, again, why Jews are shaking right now. We are sadly, reliving history and, in terms of massacres of Jews. And I do just want to say, I also read something today from Artza that we also need to be careful about, a competitive victimhood because there are a lot of victims right now, right? I mean, there are Jewish victims, there are, and again, whoever said this, I mean, so painful to listen to, the children in Gaza and, you can't compare victimhood, right? So it's all horrible. And, well, I said that I would end with the angels. So let me get there. And again, we can continue having these conversations. I think, it's really important to not feel alone on our screens but to see Beth David as, again, this open tent. That's this week's Torah portion. So here's our first angel. So 4 times in this Torah portion, angels appear, and they all appear during really hard times. So the first one is the opening of the portion. Abraham, 99 years old, recovering from circumcision, can't even imagine. The heat of the day, I mean, I really can't imagine, but, so heat of the day and, recovering. And these angels appear to him who bring him and Sarah good news that she is going to have a child in her old age. So that's the first time the angels appear. And again, Abraham and Sarah welcome them into their tent, model of hospitality and openness. So again, that's what we do here today. The second time is angels appear to Abraham's nephew, to Lot, when the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah are going to be destroyed. The angels appear and kind of give him a warning and say, now's the time to get out, and they save his life. The third time is when Sarah has cast out Hagar and Ishmael, and they are in the desert, no water, don't know how they're going to survive, and an angel of God appears to Hagar. The only time when an angel speaks to a woman, speaks to Hagar and says, "Don't fear. God has heard your cry, and you will be brought back." And so again, all these times, near-death experiences, fearing for their lives. And then, of course, the fourth time is the binding of Isaac, as Isaac is laid out, ready to be sacrificed by Abraham. An angel appears and says, "Don't raise your hand on this child," and the ram comes in place. So I'll just end on this note. And I don't know if this brings it anywhere down from the 9 to the, I don't know. I'll leave that to all of you. But our Torah portion and Jewish tradition in general reminds us that when things are so awful, near death, you never know when a messenger, when an angel, a malach, is going to appear to offer healing and compassion and peace. So, amen on that note. Just a few announcements, and we'll get to our oneg, which is thank you to David and Stacy Boehm for sponsoring our oneg this evening. That's an option each week. And let's see, tomorrow morning our lay-led minyan is here at 9. I don't want you to worry that it seems like we're missing Sidurim, or when I open the Ark that we're missing a Torah, but I am joining our 6th grade class and parents on a B'nai Mitzvah retreat tomorrow at Hale. So I have the Torah and a lot of Sidurim, so they're not missing. So Rabbi Micah and Ariana and I will be heading out to Hale for a B'nai Mitzvah retreat tomorrow. Sunday morning, in addition to Sunday Sandwich Chevra, so making lunches for homeless people, in addition to Shorashim Religious School, we also have Sisterhood Fall Lunch and speaker. 1:15 is lunch. Betty, can you just tell us the name of the speaker and one word? Irene Freelick. Great. So speaking about her father's. Good. Speaking about her father's survival story. So that, and she's starting at 1:45, right? Okay. Please look at your weekly shofar email for everything else coming up this week. And thank you to cantoral soloist Lisa Marcus Jones. And we have quite a musical lineup. I'm going to actually put this in, but next Friday, Michael McLaughlin on piano will be joining me. Rabbi Micah will be joining me Shabbat morning. We have our second community Shabbat morning service next Saturday morning at 10. And the following weekend, we are bringing Aidan Mayers back. He is a relative of Nancy Gottlieb and Matt Watsky, who lives in New York, but he was here last year. He will actually be with us through the whole weekend. Cantor Louise Treitman will be back in December, along with Rabbi Micah and Rabbi Bacha Illinois. Keep singing with us because we love it. Okay, I think on that note, we are going to move into our concluding prayers for this Shabbat. Please rise, and we are continuing to add the prayer for the state of Israel, page 259. And you're welcome to read with me. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzor Yisrael v'Goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, Hagen aleha be'efrat chasdecha, ufros aleha sukat shlomecha, ushlach orcha v'amitcha l'rasheha, sareha v'yoatzeha, v'taknein be'etza tova milfanecha, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam liyoshveha, v'nomar. Amen. We'll turn now to page 282 for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gedula yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'atzot, v'lo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chilkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Remain standing and turn to page 294 for Mourner's Kaddish. We are especially remembering these loved ones who have passed away in recent weeks for the time of Shloshim. Edna H. Ritzenberg, mother of Jeremy Ritzenberg, mother-in-law of Jill and grandmother of Jack and Julia. Jane Petschaft, mother of Susan Rothstein and grandmother of Ben and Madeline. Nigel Mincham, relative of Cynthia and Harvey Atkins, who died in Israel, and Yossi Ben Yaakov, relative of Connie Rizzoli, who died in Israel. We are remembering these loved ones whose yahrzeit occur this week: Eleanor Aronson, Donald Boehm, Joseph Berliner, Frederick Bloom, Deborah Booker, Herman Kahn, Murray Cowan, Irving Friedman, Nora Ellen Gimbel, Virginia McNamara, Doris Needle, Albert Samuel Noah, Samuel Singer, and Dorothy Smith. If there are other names that you are remembering, you may share them with us. And we join together as we bless the source of all life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom mimromav, huya seh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. I know our service went a little long tonight. Let's turn to page 5 for Kiddush and Motzi, and then we will add one more prayer for peace, and it is an honor to invite Becca and Charlotte Heyman to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. We know the Kiddush melody is a little bit different, but it will become familiar. And I just have to share, Charlotte gave me this lovely card tonight, and I don't know if she meant this, but the picture looks like the flag of Israel, which is really nice, and says Shabbat Rabbi Karen Challah. So I think she's ready for the challah. Yes.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kadsho b'yava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maseh v'reishit. Ki yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kadshecha be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
All right, Charlotte, you ready? You're sure you're ready?
Yeah.
Here. Hold it for her. Okay.
Hamotzi Rahamim Haaretz. We give thanks for food and bread. Voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer it says. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, mamutzi rahamim haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. All right, that's the preschool version. All right, let's join in one more prayer of peace as we ask God, who makes peace above, to bring peace.
I don't know if
here
I can
amongst
follow
all
that.
of us.
That was also beautiful. But let's do one more prayer for peace on page 62 at the bottom of Say Shalom. Oh, say Shalom Bikroma. Say Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.